Hi, geometry students. I'm so sorry to miss another class this week. I miss you already. Don't worry, I will be back on Monday. But even though I'm missing a class, I would never let you miss a day of learning. Don't you worry. So I made you another video. And today is basically a review of what we've been learning and then applying it with the Pythagorean theorem. So I am going to right now in this video give you one example on the classwork and then two examples on the homework, and then you can spend the rest of class finishing the classwork and the homework, and I will check it on Monday when I will give you a new stamp sheet. So all you need right now is the classwork and the homework out. Please put your phones away and off. Even you, Angel, put your phone away. And yeah, it should be good. Let's get started. Okay, cool. So this is the classwork. I'm gonna do the first one with you and then you should be able to do the rest. So it says, find the height, give your answer as a simplified radical. So the way that we are going to do this here is the height. This is what we're finding. So the way that I am going to do this is the Pythagorean theorem. Why? Because I have a right triangle, I have A, I have B, and here is the hypotenuse. So what I'm going to do first is write A equals, B equals, C equals. And since this is the right angle, this here is the hypotenuse. So this is my C, which is 13. And then the other two are going to be my A and my B. It doesn't matter which one goes with which. So I'll say that this is 11 and B is X. Okay? Next up, all I need to do is write the Pythagorean theorem. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. A in this case is 11. So I have 11 squared plus B is equal to X, so X squared equals C is equal to 13 squared. Okay, 11 squared. What that means is 11 times 11. So 11 times 11 is 121 plus this is still X squared equals 13 squared is 13 times 13, which is 169. Next up, to get this alone, I want to get rid of 121. So I'm going to subtract 121 from both sides. This goes away. And then I'm left with X squared equals, and this subtraction, I have 9 take away 1, that's 8. 6 take away 2, that's 4. All right, next step, to get rid of this exponent of 2, what am I gonna do? Hopefully right now you are saying to your friend, well, we're gonna take the square root of both sides, and you're exactly right. So I'm gonna take the square root of both sides to get rid of this. So I have X is equal to the square root of 48, but it says give your answer as a simplified radical. So I need to simplify this. Okay, where do I have space to do this? Maybe right here. So I'm going to move this over here and we're going to simplify it. So simplify square root 48. So first of all, I'm thinking to myself, it's going to be a little bit less than 7 because square root of 49 is 7. So if I found it as a decimal, the square root of 48, it would be equal to, yeah, just a little less than 7, 6.928. But I don't want it as a decimal. I want a simplified radical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write all of the factors of 48, looking for that perfect square. So I have 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, and 6 times 8. these are all of my perfect squares. Or rather, not my perfect squares. These are all the factors, and I'm looking for a perfect square. The perfect squares are 4 and 16, but I'm going to choose the bigger one. So what I have here is this is equal to the square root of 16 times 3, because 16 times 3 is 48. That was right here. Then what I do is I write them in their own radicals, square root 16, square root 3. The square root of 16 is 4, which is my final answer. 4 square root 3. This is my answer here, 4 square root 3. So the height is 4 square root 3. And just to make sure, if you have a calculator, it's a good idea always to check. So we already know that this is the square root of 48, 6.928. If I do 4 times the square root of 3, like this, I will also get the same answer, 6.928. So I'm good to go. All right, so on your classwork, the next two questions are exactly the same, so you have to use this process. The answers are here at the bottom. And then the back has two similar problems, and then some stuff that we were doing this week to practice. You guys can do that, but before you start, I want to review two things on your homework. So go ahead and take out the one that says homework at the top. And I would like to go over just a couple of these. The first one being number 1. So you had problems like this yesterday, but a couple folks were confused, so I just want to explain it to you. This is multiplication. This is multiplication. So really what this means is 4 times the square root of 18. I just didn't write the times, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify 18. So this 18 factors are 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. And I'm looking for a perfect square in there. The perfect square is 9. So next I have 4 times the square root of 9 times 2, because 18 is equal to 9 times 2, and I chose 9 because it's a perfect square. Next, I have 4 times the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. I just split them up into their own radicals. And I have 2 more steps. This is equal to 3. So I have 4 times 3 times the square root of 2. Notice how when I wrote 3, I didn't write the radical symbol anymore. And then I just have one more step. These two numbers that are both outside, I can multiply them. 4 times 3 is 12. So my answer is 12 times the square root of 2. And if you wanted to check, it's always a good idea to see if your first answer, or your first, sorry, not answer, but if what you're starting with and the simplified version, if these are actually equivalent, you do that with a calculator. So 4 times the square root of 18 is equal to 16.97. That's what we started with. And then we got 12 times the square root of 2, which is the same thing. So we're good to go. Okay, so that's reviewing that one. The one below it, just to review, what you can do is see these two numbers that are outside, you can multiply those two numbers together. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. And then these two numbers that are inside the radicals, you can multiply those as well. 2 times 10 is 20. And then see this, you got to simplify this. So now there's even more steps you need to do. So now you need to simplify 20. And I'm going to let you finish that on your own. But this is my hint to you. So this actually isn't done right now. You should be able to finish this just like this problem. And the answer's at the bottom for you to check. Okay? So you can do that later on tonight. I'll give you a moment to get all that down, and then I'll show you one more problem. All right, let's do one more. Number 1 down below. Rationalize the denominator. Rationalize means get rid of the radical. So we are going to get rid of the radical in the denominator, which is the bottom. So here, this is the issue. This is what I need to get rid of, okay? No radicals in the denominator. We did this yesterday in class, or last class. The way I get rid of this is I multiply by the square root of 5 over the square root of 5, okay? Now what I have, my numerator is, okay, see this number on the outside? There's no other number on the outside, so this number stays on the outside. See these two numbers on the inside, or rather underneath the radical? These two combine. 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, so what did I do? I left the outside number outside, I combined these two numbers, and I got 15. For my denominator, see how both numbers are underneath the radical? I can multiply those. 5 times 5 is 25, but I'm not done. This is simplifiable. What's the square root of 25? Well, that's equal to 5. My numerator, I can't do anything. This is still 4 times the square root of 15. And then you might be thinking, oh, 15 and 5, 15 divided by 5, that makes 3. But you can't simplify that because this is inside the radical and this is outside. Okay? So this is my final answer. I can't simplify anything else. All right? Had 4 and 5 been divisible, you could have canceled those or divided. But since they're not, this is my final answer. All right, guys. That is it for me. Your homework, the rest of your homework is just like your classwork, as you'll see. Honestly, if you work well together in class, you should be able to finish this. Like I said, no phones, and this is due on Monday, classwork and homework. I believe in you all. You can do it. Help one another out, and I miss you. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. I will see you on Monday. Bye.